Well, today I'm going through an issue that I've already been through in my life, something that I already understand. I know myself and I know where I'm headed with this. I know what I'm thinking and I know where I'm going to end up. So this is a path that I've been through before. And I'll explain to you guys what's going on. Now, what happens is it got into my mind that I need another watch. I already have a whole bunch of watches, and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video are probably in the same boat, have more watches than you use. And we all think we're going to sell some watches, buy other watches. And I have a really hard time selling watches, mainly because I don't like selling my watches on eBay or stuff like that. I did used to have a watch repair shop, so I could buy and sell a lot of watches there. Now it's different because I don't like selling online, I guess. But anyways, that's not this video. What this video is about is, now it got in my mind. I even have a philosophy and a reason and everything for why I need this watch, why I need to have this watch. That I need a Cartier Tank Large, the quartz version. I think it's only in quartz, the large. I think the XL is the a mechanical, but I'm fine because I'd rather have, in this case, the quartz, because I do like thin watches. Now, what happens is, this is my philosophy and this is the reason I need it. Of course, it's not a valid reason for anybody else, only for me. I'm 47 years old. I had never been to a doctor my whole life. And at work, I was moving a tree and I got a hernia and I had to report it to my manager, and she called the main office and I had to go to the hospital. And that had to get taken care of because, it's a workers' comp deal and it's got to get fixed. So I ended up going through surgery. For somebody that had never been to a dentist or a doctor my whole life, 47 years, I had broken bones, I had done other things, but I've always been a naturalist. So with my grandpa, he cured me many times from many different things. So I had always been a naturalist, so I had never been to a doctor. And now I had to go. And I had surgery about a week and a half ago. Fortunately, everything's good. Nothing hurts. Everything's fine. It was much easier than I thought it would be. I didn't even drink my pain medicines, because any medicines at all after the surgery, I'd rather feel the pain because I didn't want to hurt myself again. So I let it be a little bit painful, but it wasn't bad at all. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that now, in my mind, now that I had to go to the doctor, and this is I don't know if you could call this a major event in my life, but it's something that from now on, it's like a fighter. Once they have a defeat, then it's okay. It's just the first time. So now I guess if I go to a doctor again, if I have to. Fortunately, they did tests on me and everything was fine. They blood tests and they put me in the capsule and everything, and then there was no issues with me. So I'm very fortunate that everything was fine. And I was trying to make it to my 50th birthday, but I couldn't. But I've never felt any issues, so I was okay. So now in my mind, I've been to the doctor now, and I was able to do 47 years without going to a doctor, and now I need a watch. And I know it's ridiculous. I know I don't need a watch. I know I could get any watch that I have, call this watch my surgery watch, and that'll be it. But I think as collectors or as people that are into watches, we want to have a story to a watch, and we make up a story, or it's not a made up story. It's a true story. It's just it doesn't need a watch. There's people then, once they do their first business deal, or once they open their first business, or their first child, or they get married, and they buy a watch to commemorate it. And that's perfectly fine. I think mine is a little bit too extreme, but I still want to watch. But I have learned a really important lesson in my life. And now I want this particular watch. And in my mind, I'm thinking I should buy this watch, see if I like it, this other watch. And then I realized, I've been down this path before. And it happened really like about a couple of years ago. I really wanted a Black Bay 58. I really wanted it, but I kept on thinking, man, everybody's buying that watch. It's a lot of hype. I may not even like the watch. But then I kept on looking at all those, all the measurements on it, all the pictures and the movement and everything just seemed perfect. And I still wanted that watch. But what I foolishly did is I went and bought a watch that kind of looked like the watch I wanted. And this is a Seiko Presage. And it's got a gilt dial. There's a lot of similarities, but obviously it's not the same watch. So I bought this watch. I don't know, it was like $300 or something like that. So then I realized it's not the watch I want. It doesn't have a screw down crown. The bezel doesn't move. It's not the watch I wanted, but it's got some of the things I wanted from the watch. It does have the gilt dial. It's got the gilt bezel, even though it doesn't move. It doesn't do anything. It's just for show. And after a while, I started thinking, man, this watch has a bezel that's just basically painted on. It's got no purpose, no reason. It's just a show watch. And then I couldn't get that out of my mind. Then I still wanted the Black Bay 58. Now I wanted it more because I did like the dimensions. The dimensions are really close. So I went and bought another watch, another Seiko. It turns out it was a Seiko too. So this has a more of a kind of a more modern Seiko or a turtle Seiko type of case, a cushion case, but it does have a gilt dial. It does have a bezel that moves, as you can see. Unfortunately, it does have a screw down crown. It is more water resistant. So there's a whole bunch of things that I did like about this watch, but it didn't have the bezel I wanted. And because this bezel is bidirectional, but it's a compass. It's not really a timer. I like having a timer. I use my bezel as a timer. So I had this watch for a while, and I was wearing it. I was really happy with it. So now this one's another $300. So I'm like $600 into my Seiko. I'm sorry, my Black Bay 58. Well, let's call it $500. I don't exactly remember how much I paid for these watches. Let's call it about $500. I'm $500 into my Tudor, and I still don't have the Tudor. I have two watches that kind of make me think of the Tudor because of gilt dials and some of the similarities. This one's got a screw down crown, and I can dive with it or swim with it, or it'll be okay in the rain. But it wasn't the bezel I wanted. I actually ordered a bezel, a yellow bezel, that with the actual numbers, and I was gonna change it, and then I said, the yellow's different, and I didn't like it. And then I was looking at another Seiko. I think it's the MAS something, I forget. That kind of has the same dimensions, and I'm thinking, man, I'm already $500-$600 into the watch I want. I don't have the watch I want. I'll spend another $1,000 on the watch I want, something that's similar to the watch I want. Why not just buy the watch I want? And I ended up buying the Black Bay 58. And no, it wasn't hype for me. In my case, I still love it. This is still my favorite watch. I have owned the Rolex Mariners. I've owned all kinds of dive watches. This is still my favorite watch by far. My favorite dive watch. So when I paid for this watch, you got to add another $500-$600 because that's how much it cost me to get to this watch. So if somebody asked me how much did I pay for this watch, and then I paid more than most people do because I had bought some watches that were not this watch, but I wanted to get this feeling. Now, the watch that I want right now is that Cartier Tank, the large version. Now, the thing with that watch is that I already have a Cartier Tank, but this is the Cartier, which is just a little bit smaller, or actually quite a bit smaller. I do have a cutout of the actual size, and I don't mind wearing this watch. I wear this watch. I'm okay with it. The one thing I don't really like about this, I could do with a little bit bigger size. And the one thing I don't like about this watch is that it's gold colored, but it's not a gold watch. So I think as an expensive dress watch, I'd rather have a stainless steel watch than a gold colored watch or gold plated. So I do actually have the measurements of the large, and I know I don't have it. I don't have access to a large. I have never tried it on. I can just see the difference in size. I cut it out on a piece of paper, so I know I'm gonna like it. I've seen some reviews on it, and people say it's too small, and I can even wear this one that's much smaller, and I'm okay with it. Just the color. If this one would have been the stainless steel, I'd have been okay with it. Well, I don't have a problem wearing this one, but the next one, the large, would be that much bigger. I do have a 7-inch wrist, so I have no problem with the size. So the size is not the issue here with me. So now I've already bought a watch that's kind of that look. Well, I do have the Cartier. That's not the right color, but this one I wasn't thinking of that, the large, when I bought this. I bought this I was on vacation, and I stopped by a pawn shop and I got a good deal on it. Now I have another beautiful tank style watch. That is this Universal Genève. I think I showed it a couple of videos ago. It's definitely a beautiful watch. But this is more of a, I want to say more of a delicate watch, because this is an automatic. It does have a bumper movement. It's a beautiful watch. It's a watch that I do wear. I love it. But it's a watch that I wear for different reasons. It's just because there's something about vintage watches that I really love. So this is a vintage watch that anytime I wear it, I just love it. But the tank that I'm looking for is I know it's a dress watch, but I'm thinking of it as more of an everyday watch, or a watch that I would wear a lot. Now with this vintage bumper from the 50s, I got to be careful with this watch because it's too delicate. And it's a watch that I can wear once in a while. Now, as far as thin, because that watch that I'm looking for is actually a quartz watch. As far as thin quartz watches, I have no issue, because back when I was a kid, and I remember, the 80s, the 90s, people used to love, this was my favorite watch back then. Anybody had a thin watch that was this style of dress watch, I just loved it. So this is, even though I do have a whole bunch of different watches and different styles of watches, of course, divers watches and field watches and all kinds of watches. This to me is still this is still the kind of watch that I like to wear, a thin, more elegant watch. And I used to think a while back that it had to be a dress watch for when you dress up. Now I can wear this watch with shorts if I want, or whatever I want, but it is a gold color, so I really want the stainless steel color, because to me it's a watch that I would wear all the time. And like I said, I remember back in the 80s and the 90s, people this was cool back then, a thin watch that you could wear anywhere, any day, anytime, and it just didn't matter. It's just not a heavy watch. You can barely even tell you have it on. And to me, it's very elegant. Now, I know times have changed. Everybody likes a big, bulky watch, and I'm okay with that too. I do have my big watches. This is not really a big watch, but I have bigger watches. Like, this is still my favorite watch. I'm still really happy with a dive watch, but that kind of watch is the watch that now I think I want. And it's not gonna be necessarily my dress watch, because what I consider my dress watch is my long jeans, and I've showed it too on different videos. And this is an 18 karat gold watch. Now, this is also a thin quartz watch. I only wish it didn't have a seconds hand, but then again, it's not that much of a big deal. It is an 18 karat gold, so it's beautiful. It's a watch that I use a lot, even though I don't really dress up too much. I've had it for a few months, and I've been wearing it, and I love it. But I got into my mind that I want this watch, and I learned my lesson. I'm not gonna buy other watches. I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna buy the watch I want. Today I wanted to go to Phoenix. They don't have a Cartier dealer here in Tucson, so I haven't been able to try one on. That's why I did this cutout, which is just an idea of how it's gonna fit on my wrist. Of course, it's not the same. I gotta have the watch. There's more to it, but I think it is going to be a watch that I'm just going to buy. I'm not going to make the mistake of buying watches that are not the watch I want. I'm just going to wait. I may have to sell some watches. I have a whole bunch of watches that I could sell. It's not a really expensive watch. It's nobody's grail watch, but it is a nice watch, and it's a watch I'm looking for right now. Anyways, that was my video. I think I just want to talk about the experiences I've had with buying a watch that looks like the watch I want, but just spending more money than I should have. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.